This is Paul McElharney from Ungovernable Films, and you're listening to Without Your Head.
Welcome to the station of decapitation, Without Your Head. I am Nasty Neil, and joining me is legendary scream queen Debbie Rochon.
Hey, Neil, how goes it?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Excellent, excellent. Now, you just made your directorial debut from Model Hunger, and for people who aren't aware of it yet, they should be. Could you give them an idea of what the movie's about?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Neil. It's about a woman by the name of Ginny, played by Lynn Lowry, who is rejected by the modeling and acting industry because she is not what is deemed beautiful any longer. The style has changed from curvaceous and beautiful and full-figured to skinny like Twiggy. And so she loses all of her work, becomes a very bitter woman, and as she gets older, she finds a very therapeutic way to deal with it, which is murder and cannibalism.
Mm-hmm. And she's fantastic in the movie.
Ah, she is. She's so good.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, how involved were you in casting Lynn?
Extremely. She was my choice. She was absolutely my choice. And I was lucky enough to have the opportunity. I sent her the script, and with a role like this, she jumped on it, and rightfully so, because you know how many really fun, great roles are there for women, period, let alone, you know, women that are not 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So she saw the potential for it to be something that was a lot of fun, get to stretch her acting chops and have some fun and just go for it. And that's exactly what she did, and she's fantastic.
Yeah. Is that what drew you to the script? Was a good role for a woman, or what did draw you to the script?
Yeah, that's exactly what drove me to the script was what it said. You know, it's like so important, and it affects all of us, whether you are young now and you are not old yet, or you are skinny and you are not what is considered heavier yet, or vice versa. You know, people are judging you because of things that you are and not taking you and appreciating you for what you are. And that is exactly why this was the script that I had to direct, because I could not only relate to it, but I thought that, you know, a lot of people would. And it's, you know, in the genre of horror, it is the perfect avenue to say anything that you want to say. And if you tell a story that has a lot of horror aspects to it, it can be a lot of fun. It doesn't have to be preachy or, you know, like a drama or a dramedy or whatever the hell they call these things. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make a horror movie, but something that said something and was different and unique. And that's what I tried to do.
How did you get involved? Were you seeking something to direct, or did they come to you and thought you'd be good to direct this?
Well, I worked with James Morgart on his directorial debut, which was Wonton Baby, which was super cool. Again, another amazing movie about with great female roles, and having to do with a lot of angst and craziness that women go through, and also sort of in the vein of horror. That movie is sort of like a kind of a throwback, if you will, in the sense of, you know, if you look at Henenlotter or something that where everything's very, you know, abstract and very absurdist and extreme, and yet making a point along the way. So we had made that movie together, and he had written a short story called Ginny, and it was published in a horror magazine. And then he wrote an entire script based on that short story. And then he sent it to me, and he didn't even tell me why necessarily. And he said, "So what do you think?" I said, "Well, that's fucking amazing. That is so amazing." And I started telling him, you know, I could see this and I could see that. And oh my, and he said, "Well, that's good, because I wanted to offer you the opportunity to direct the movie." So it was just like that. just like that. And he also executive produced it. So that was a very good thing because now you have the writer and executive producer wanting you to take their material and expound upon it and have fun with it and add to it. And that was sort of the magical scenario that brought me to the table with this.
Yeah. They said the script was great, and not to take anything away from that. What do you think you added yourself to the project?
Well, I added a number of things as far as like the script goes. I mean, I could go on about the little nuances that I added. I could give you some examples. I think as far as like directing in general, I think, I've worked with actors for so many years. I mean, way back at theater, I would we would take turns in sort of leading as opposed to instructing the group of actors that were part of the actor ensemble at various theater companies. So that was something that I'd always loved to do. And then acting for many years in film, I love actors and I love working with them. And when he first gave me the script, the role of Debbie was actually for me, but there was no way that I wanted to do that because a role that was really like psychologically demanding and nuanced and important, and which ended up being played by Tiffany Shepis, who did an amazing job, and I'm so glad it turned out that way. But there was just no way that I wanted to do that and have the split focus because I know, having worked with so many directors, both good and bad, and seeing why some are good and some are bad, that, I just, that was plenty to be on my plate, is to just direct and work with the actors. So that certainly was a big part of it, was bringing actors that I knew and that I'd worked with in the past and working with the actors, but then also adding to various characters' arcs within the script, adding little scenes that would sort of like bring them to an arc. It's funny because I don't want to say too much for the people who haven't seen it yet, but I'll just say that the character of Arnold Winters, the next door neighbor, his storyline ended earlier than it did in the movie, and the end scene was a scene that I felt was very important because it would sort of put not just a revelation, but a cap, if you will, on that character. So it was very important to me that no matter how small the character was, they were all important, and they all needed an arc of some sort, no matter how small it was, and even if the audience never saw it. Mm-hmm. So there was all sorts of things in there, motifs and scenes, and working with the actors, getting them to improvise around what was written, having things taken out, things put in. There was a lot that was changed. The basic storyline was always there, though.
Mm-hmm. We mentioned it's unusual for like a great role for a woman in a movie, especially it's unusual for like the killer to be a female. And I think it's even more rare for the killer, the female killer, to kill other females. You would think they'd do the role reversal where they'd be killing men. That aspect of the movie, do you feel that in Hollywood or in making movies that there's also a lot of jealousy from other women and not just necessarily being judged by men and on your body type?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we are all conditioned through the system because we can't just blame men. If you were to go outside and just walk down the street and ask the average male, what type of woman do they like, they'll all say something different. I mean, there's an awful lot of men who like bigger women. There's men who like curvy women. There's men who like a nice ass on a woman, not, skinny, sort of like twiggy figure, let's say. So, I mean, we can't blame the opposite sex for what's going on. And that's kind of the point of the movie, too, is that, it's our problem, meaning literally our personal problem, but then it becomes about the competition and this whole concept of there not being enough. And if you can eliminate others, then you will somehow survive and succeed. But in fact, that's not true. That's a falsehood, and it couldn't be farther from the truth. So yeah, there's an awful lot of that, and it's really too bad.
How did Babette Bombshell get involved in the movie?
I begged Babette Bombshell to be in this movie, and Babette was kind enough to say yes. I had only experienced Babette Bombshell on the internet. I had not met Babette in person, but as soon as I got the script, Babette was the very first person that I actually cast in my mind. I saw that show, completely different than what it was written. It was written very straight, that it was like big girls modeling lingerie with a big girl host. And I thought, you know what? We just need to turn this whole thing on its head. And I think our key supermodel has to be Babette Bombshell, the only one who can really do it justice. And that was like in my mind, in my fantasy cast. That was the first person I cast, and I was lucky enough to have Babette say yes. And really, I mean, of course, the audience will never know everything that Babette did when we were shooting, but boy, I couldn't be happier. I mean, she was so outrageous and perfect in the role of our supermodel. And by the way, it does sort of taking that same character and expanding upon it, does a hilarious and amazing extra on the DVD too.
Nice. I think it was great casting, and I've not seen the specials on the DVD, but I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, you'll love it. Oh, you'll have a great time. Great time. I mean, that's the thing too. I mean, I got so incredibly lucky with Wild Eye because, there's so much stuff on the disc. You never normally have the opportunity to have the amount of stuff that's on this disc. So I feel really, really fortunate. This is just not something that is very typical. Normally you get a couple of trailers and your movie. But in fact, there is, an amazing Easter egg. I'll just say the name, Harry Manfredini, ... and all kinds of extras. Of course, a commentary with myself and David Morancic, who plays a police officer as well in the movie. And like I said, Babette, Voltaire created and edited his own great extra. It's hilarious. There's outtakes. Myself and Lloyd, we had little tiny parts in the movie that didn't make it into the movie, but they're on the disc, so you can see them there, and they're pretty funny, I gotta say. I mean, Lloyd's great.
Yeah.
And more. I mean, so it's really, really packed, and I just couldn't be happier. It's quite an amazing day for me.
Yeah. Wild Eye is always really fun and innovative with the releases. So.
Yeah, just really getting such traction and so well deserved. The amount of work that they put into their DVDs is really, really commendable. They have picked up some very cool movies. They had picked up Exhumed that I was in, and that's a very different black and white movie. And, they have a really esoteric taste. And so it was really the perfect fit for Model Hunger.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Harry Manfredini, and obviously his score is great. I actually felt it was kind of it gave us kind of a Psycho vibe. The score he used, and also the the inner dialogue you hear with Lynn Lowry's character.
Yeah. I felt that way too. It was really cool. As a matter of fact, the funny thing with Harry doing the score, it was I mean, again, it's just one of these things that just was of great fortune to me and to the movie. I'd seen him at a convention, and he said, "I heard you were making a movie. You should get me to compose the music for it." And I just thought he was being nice. I was like, "What a nice guy," to say that as a pleasantry. But he was dead serious. And he did it. And we had a lot of phone conversations about the various elements of the movie. And he actually said, this movie, like, there's so many different, very, very different things going on that it was actually one of the more, I don't think the right word is challenging, but I would say intricate things, because he had to constantly switch gears with all the different stuff going on. But there's one point where he said, okay, here's a point right here that I'm kind of, I'm wondering what you think should go there. And the reason I bring it up is because Prince recently died, as we all know. And I said, Susie's speaking, and I really feel like the beginning of, Let's Go Crazy, when Prince is sort of preaching, that would be like perfect for when that vibe of like this sort of slowly, the organ and amping up and that sort of feel to it. And he just took that idea that I had and he just ran with it and did a great job. It was, I think it does have a little bit of a psycho vibe, a little bit of Friday the 13th here and there, and yet completely original. I mean, right from the opening credits, it's just wholly original.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is my co-host Annabelle Electric cannot be here today, but she wanted me to ask if, given the chance, and there was no chance of any criminal repercussions, would you try human flesh?
I have to be honest. It would depend on who.
On the person, yeah.
Yeah, because it depends. Like, I would be kind of like the person who likes free-range chicken. I would like a human that I would like to know a little bit about how they live their life, so I know what I'm sort of getting myself into, so to speak. Like, did they live a healthier life? Were they free-range? Were they, kept in the basement and, on heroin for 45 years? I mean, these are all things that would make a difference, because once you ingest a person, then that's it. They're part of you.
Exactly. Now, I also have to ask about my friends in Ungovernable Films have the Ungovernable Force coming out, and you play a Nazi in that. I thought you were amazing in it. And what was it like to work with those guys?
Oh my God, I love those guys. We have so much in common. We're just like so much into the whole punk thing. And I love punk movies. I mean, I think horror, especially underground indie horror, is extraordinarily punk rock. And so when these guys approached me to be in their movie, I jumped on it because I totally dug where they were coming from. And I love their other work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was there in a heartbeat, and they were so nice. I mean, holy shit, these are nice guys. And hopefully, we're talking about doing something else, and I hope that comes together because, I love me some punk, and I love Ungovernable Force.
Yeah, I loved it too. It was great. And there's so much energy in all their movies, and much like your film, there's there's violence and graphic and stuff going on, but there's also a lot of messages and stuff within the movie.
Yeah, a lot of commentary, which is great because if you can have like outrageousness, you can have some really pitch black humor and just like balls out entertainment, and at the same time have something to say, then I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, that's really what punk rock music was about. Anyway, the real punk rock music, I mean, especially with groups like The Clash and stuff, they're very political. And yet their songs are like insanely entertaining and fun to listen to. But if you listen to the words, they have something to say. So I think movies can be the same way. And those are the ones that I enjoy making and watching the most.
Mm-hmm. So are you going to continue to direct?
Yes, I am. I certainly am. And there's a couple things I'm working on right now. We'll see what comes together. And, maybe I'm going to do, I don't want to let too much on the bag, but who knows? Maybe I'll do something regarding the male body issues in the next one.
I would be very interested in that.
The pressure on guys. Come on, it exists.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big guy myself, so I totally understand that.
So yeah, I mean, like, why should old men have 6 and 10 packs?
Right, right. I have like a keg, so yeah.
1 pack is good enough sometimes, right? I mean, it's a matter of taste and opinion. But yeah, there's pressure on both sexes, so maybe I'll go to the other side of the spectrum next time.
Nice.
But there'll be something. It just has to be right.
Cool. Well, hopefully we'll have you back on for future projects. I know you're very busy.
Well, thank you for having me on. And I love Without Your Head.
Well, thank you
because
very much.
I am without mine, and I can relate. So I thank you, Neil.
Well, I thank you, Debbie, for coming on, and everyone should definitely check out Model Hunger.
You have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greetings from Tromaville. This is Lloyd Kaufman, president of Troma Entertainment and creator of The Toxic Avenger. You know, folks, when we're not making those great movies like Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, and Terra Firma, and Romeo and Juliet, we like to kick back and listen to Without Your Head, because Without Your Head is the greatest entertainment on the face of the earth. Yes, listen to Without Your Head. The Troma team does, and the Troma team's been around for 35 years.